Hi, my name is Iris Linne. In this video I'm going to talk about what has helped me to move from feeling anxious and scared over a diet to feeling calm and balanced about what I eat. I'm also going to talk about what helps me to understand my own body better and what helps me to be more in tune with what kind of foods suit me. If you suffer from a chronic illness or have gut problems, you might find this video especially helpful. I haven't been diagnosed with any allergies, so all kinds of foods are safe for me to eat, but this might not be your case. Also, in this video, I'm not giving any advice on what you should eat or you shouldn't eat. And if you need help with your diet, just please talk to a doctor or a certified nutritionist. In 2015, I was diagnosed with an inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis. It was a shock for me, it was very sudden, and I felt quite alone after the diagnosis. Also, I found myself in the middle of this whole battlefield of different kind of diets and people having their opinions on what a person with a chronic illness should eat or shouldn't eat, and also what causes an illness and what doesn't cause an illness. These would be people close to me, but also different kind of healthcare professionals, alternative medicine practitioners, social media health influencers. It was quite crazy, and I did try some diets, maybe for the longest time, FODMAP. I didn't find them really helpful. I found them actually quite restricting, and following these kind of diets were definitely one reason that why I was losing so much weight. Also, I started to feel like if really my body is so sensitive to different kind of foods, so that even a small amount of food that I used to eat without any trouble would not be causing a lot of trouble in my digestion and bloating and so on. I thought, doesn't it mean that my body is somehow in imbalance? And if my body was in balance, wouldn't it be easier for it to digest different kind of foods? But it was about 7 months later when I was in such a bad condition and many things happened, and I had an operation to remove my large intestine and to create an ostomy. After my ostomy operation, I was starting to become more courageous about eating different kind of foods again. I was also very into yoga, and I had been interested in Ayurveda, which is traditional Indian medicine, already for quite a while. I hadn't dared to try it, the Ayurvedic diet, before, as I found it was quite different from the usual IBD diets. But after my operation, I met an Ayurvedic practitioner, and he gave me some instructions on what kind of foods I could eat more and what kind of foods I could eat less. It wasn't a restricting should or shouldn't list, more like recommendations. And when I started to follow those instructions, it was actually very helpful for me. My digestion started to feel better, and I started to feel more balanced in general. I'd say throughout the years it has changed for me, so that I'm no longer following an Ayurvedic diet or Ayurvedic instructions, but I do have the knowledge in the back of my mind. So, for example, if I experience an imbalance in my body, I find it very helpful that from Ayurveda I know what kinds of foods have what kind of qualities, and I know what kind of foods I can eat more and what kind of foods I can eat less to bring myself back to balance. Around the end of 2017, I turned vegan. I had already been eating a lot of plant-based foods, and then I decided to go vegan, mostly for ethical reasons. I was a vegan for quite a long while, over a year I think, until I had to start eating some animal products again. My hemoglobin level was very, very low, and even the idea of some plant-based foods gave me a strong sense of nausea. So to be able to eat without feeling sick, I had to eat food with animal products. In the autumn 2020, I went through an internal change, I would say. To put it shortly, I simply decided to start worrying less about the ethics and the planet and the animals, and how to do right by them, and instead just save myself first and help myself first. I decided to try what I was calling intuitive eating, meaning that I would just forget everything I knew about what you should eat or you shouldn't eat, and what's healthy and what's not healthy, and what's ethical and what's not ethical. And instead I would just listen to my own body and what kind of foods it was asking for, and then just see what happens. A couple of things happened. The way I was eating changed. For example, I had quit eating red meat when I was 19, and now I started to eat red meat again. Also less plant-based foods and more animal products. Also more normal kind of traditional Finnish foods and the same kind of foods my family members were eating. And just having less stress also about what I was eating. And I was suffering from a chronic inflammation in my J pouch, meaning the end of my small intestine. Eating intuitively didn't heal my chronic inflammation, and that's not even my goal. But it did have some very positive effects on my health. For example, I had been constantly a bit under my normal weight, but after I started eating intuitively, meaning listening to my own body more, I gained a few kilos, and since then I haven't had trouble maintaining my normal weight. Also, there had been times when I wasn't getting my period normally, and since I started the so-called intuitive eating, I've gotten my normal menstrual cycle every single month, and I am so glad about that. And next, I'd like to share 3 things that help me to feel good, calm, balanced and healthy about what I eat, instead of feeling anxious and scared. Number 1 is that I have a strong intuition and a good understanding of my own body. Going back to my menstrual cycle, I know my cycle well. I know what I feel like during the different phases of my cycle, when I need more rest and when I have more energy, and also what kind of foods my body is asking for during the different times of my menstrual cycle. The other example is that when I have an issue with my health, I like to take some time to sit in meditation and ask my body, like, what are you asking for? What are you trying to tell me? And it could be like a headache. When I have a headache, I often take a painkiller, those normal painkillers that you can buy from a pharmacy and that a doctor would prescribe. But I also ask myself, where did this headache come from? Often for me with my ostomy, it's because of dehydration, but it could also be, just the lack of oxygen and spending too much time indoors or something like that. What helps me to have this kind of understanding and connection is I've been meditating for many years. I think that's a good way to understand yourself better, and I find spending time in nature very grounding, and I do all kinds of intuitive practices. The second thing that helps me is the knowledge that I have, both of kind of like science-based information of the human body and health and westernized medicine, and also about traditional medicine and alternative healing methods. How I've gotten this information is by reading and learning myself from good and trusted sources, and also by talking to different kind of healthcare professionals and alternative practitioners who are good and experienced in what they do. Just one example how this is useful. Even now with my ostomy, I often struggle with keeping my iron levels good enough. So when my iron levels start to become worse, I first notice the symptoms in myself, and then I go to have blood work done, and after that I discuss with the doctor what I should do next, like whether to get an iron infusion or start taking a supplement. I also know how to read those test results. I like to keep track of them at home, and when one level goes up and one goes down, I know what it means and I know how they are connected to each other. I also know what kind of foods are rich in iron, so when I try to fix this iron issue at home, I know what kind of foods I can eat, and I even know what kind of herbs are often used for treating anemia. The third thing that helps me is focusing on the big picture. A few years ago I started envisioning a life in which I would feel healthy and radiating and strong and empowered. And based on that vision, I created a few very clear long-term life goals for myself. One of those goals is a whole lifestyle. I dream about moving to the countryside. I actually already did when I was a child. Having my own garden and growing my own foods, and also buying foods from local producers and eating organic foods. Now, this is only one of my goals, and food, the diet, is only a part of even this one goal. So instead of focusing in this moment on eating the perfect diet where I get no additives, no toxins and nothing bad from the food, eating only organic, that can create a lot of stress. I guess I would be constantly worrying that I don't have the money to buy only organic foods, for example. But when I focus on these big life goals I have, it changes it. It's not like, it doesn't put the pressure for me to do it perfectly right now. It's more like I am constantly building towards my big life goals, also my dream lifestyle and the foods that I eat. But I'm building that all the time, step by step. It doesn't have to happen perfectly immediately. And also I find it creates a good balance, because it means that I am not only focusing on creating the perfect way of eating, but I'm also focusing on my other goals. For example, every summer I like to learn some new wild herbs. I very much enjoy picking wild herbs and using them in my cooking. But I also spend time on other things that I love and that I am committed to, such as writing my books. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found this helpful, and just remember that you are not alone, And there are many good certified professionals working in healthcare who can help you if you are having a hard time with illness or mental health or your diet. See you next time!